Greetings and welcome back to another episode of His Will for Your Life. I am your host, Sherry Levon Harris, and we have a treat for you tonight. We are going to be talking about life insurance. In this podcast episode, we'll delve into life insurance, the myths and the facts, providing clarity for both new buyers and those looking to update their policies. We address common misconceptions such as the belief that life insurance is too expensive or unnecessary for single individuals, and highlight the importance of personal coverage beyond employer provided plans. Our listening audience will also learn about the different uh, policy types, the impact of health and age on premiums, and the potential tax benefits. Join us as we debunk these myths, make well informed life insurance decisions. With our guest, Kenneth Wright. Um, oh my gosh, gross. So please stay tuned and we'll be right back. Please like, tag, and share.
His will for your life with Cherie Harris. This is your weekly Wednesday 7 p.m. podcast. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Informative, hot topics, testimony, interviews, along with your weekly guests and more. And now here's your host, Cherie Harris.
Greetings again and welcome back to His Will for Your Life. I am your host, Sherry Levon Harris, and joining me is Kenny WG because I just destroyed your name. I
No worries, man. No
am
worries.
so sorry. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Great.
Ironically, as you say, that's how my nickname kind of came about. Most people, I've been everything from Right Gross to Gross Right to, uh, oh no, it's okay. But yes, Kenneth Right Gross, and you actually did get it right, so it's okay.
Okay, great. How are you today?
I'm blessed. I'm actually in a really good space today, so I appreciate you.
Awesome. I am going to give you this opportunity to tell our listening audience who you are and what exactly is it that you
Okay. As we stated, my name is Kenneth. Nobody calls me that, but Kenny Wright Gross.
do.
I am a multiple state licensed insurance agent. Uh, some of you, if there's any people that are familiar with me, they may know me from doing financial literacy over the last few years. But I started doing life insurance way back in 2017. So that was kind of like one of my early uh, focused and intentional career choices.
Okay.
And at that time, we were still doing door to door. Oh my goodness! And it was fun. It was intense. I learned a lot, but it just wasn't sustainable. And so now I have put myself in a position where uh, I can work remotely. I still can, go sit in the living room with Miss Jones or Mr. Jones, but for the most part, I can sit back and be more of an advisor. People can call me, ask questions about the different varieties of life insurance. But yeah, I'm a certified life insurance agent across the country.
Awesome. So we want to talk about it because we don't know much about it. We think we do, but then again, we don't because the title says there's so many myths and there are facts about life insurance, and we're going to discuss those tonight. And hopefully, you can lead us in the right direction.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
Great, great. Can you start by explaining what life insurance is and why it's important?
Absolutely. So it's one of those uncomfortable kind of taboo. Because if we're being honest, I think the powers that be, the founders, they called it life insurance because that's easier to say, but it's really death insurance, right?
Mhm,
It's that final bill that we have to pay.
mhm,
Um, and many of us don't want to talk about it. And so what ends up happening is someone in your family ends up having to pay that bill for you if you haven't taken care of it. And now that's just really talking about what we call the final expense side of it, the funeral. If you're going to do a traditional burial versus a cremation, we'll get into some of those things. Um, that's not even talking about leaving an inheritance, for your family, which if many of us who are, future oriented or generationally oriented, if we've given thought to that, then that becomes another component in the
mhm,
equation. But it is uh, paying a small little piece of something so that the insurance company will pay a big piece of something when you need it.
mhm,
Uh, and that is taking care of that burial ceremony. Um, you know, I talked to, the national average. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the national average is about $12,000 for a funeral.
mhm,
Unless you're gonna do like some of the greats and have a 7 day parade and all that stuff, then that's different. But for the most part, most of us are gonna average somewhere around 12,000, even sometimes up to $15,000.
mhm,
Get it down to 10 if you are really intentional and organized, but somewhere in that space. And most of us would say that we don't have that type of money sitting around, and our loved ones don't have that type of money sitting around. So when the day comes that the Lord decides to come on home, baby, it's time for you to come on up here with me. That's going to be a short notice thing. And how many of our family members are going to be able to just say, "Oh, I'll just dig in my pocket and come up with 10, 12, or $15,000
mhm,
right here on the spot?" And most people would have to say, no, that's not a reality.
mhm,
And so one of the things that kind of drove me, or I guess interested me, I've seen um, people doing GoFundmes,
mhm,
trying to raise money for their loved ones. I've seen people. I'm gonna tell you one that was crazy.
mhm,
So I was in a gas station,
uh-huh,
and they had the little cup up there register, uh, raising money for my brother's funeral. That's what it said on the little handwritten note. And I
mhm,
thought, like, how rough of a situation do you have to be in where you're just hoping that people are going to come into the gas station and pay for this funeral or
wow,
contribute to paying to this funeral? And
mhm,
so, many of our people are in situations and they want someone they can trust to talk to. And you know, you hear all the horror stories. So I wanted to be someone that was in that conversation where I can talk to people and build that rapport. That I believe I'm pretty trustworthy. I've done a
mhm,
decent job, what I mean, of building that reputation. But I
right,
also know that a lot of our people just need the information
mhm,
on it. And so we don't need to be selling chicken plates. We don't need to do GoFundMe's. We can kind of laugh about it, but that's serious. That's somebody's real story. You know what I mean? And so we want to put ourselves in position to eliminate that burden and
mhm,
allow our family members to just grieve properly without having to go into this kind of business and put it all together and figure it all out at the last minute.
right,
So
right,
if that kind of gives us a little bit of a framework.
okay. What are the common types of life insurance and how do they differ?
So there's a there's a lot, if I'm being honest, but they really break down into just a little.
Okay,
Every one of the varieties still comes down to the main two or three.
okay,
Um, the ones that people mostly talk about, unless you're really savvy, or if
Mhm.
you started early looking into investments and things like that.
Mhm.
People get into IULs, and they love those, and they have their place. But for the common person, you're looking at just two products. You're looking
Oh,
at products, and you're looking at whole life products.
okay.
And the short understanding of that is kind of built into the name. But a term means that something in this agreement, because there's a contract, something in this agreement
Mhm.
is going to be temporary. Now
Wow.
that can be the monthly payment, the premium might be temporary.
Mhm.
The amount of years that they cover you might be temporary. Those are the two main things, right? So, for example, if I have a policy that is scheduled for 10, 20, 30 years, right? The
Mhm.
term on that is going to last for that amount of time, and then it will expire.
Okay.
Now, that might be okay if I get a what's called, and again, if I'm giving too much jargon, let me know. But a fixed is, to me, if you're going to get a term, that's what
Mhm.
you want. Fixed means the monthly payment won't change. The
Okay.
only thing that will change is when it expires at the end of that contract. And that's not so bad, right? So if you're going to get a term policy, that's what you want.
Mhm.
You don't I can't think of a reason why you increasing term. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Um, Other than it normally starts off very, very small, and people get excited about that, but it normally is going to increase every 5 years or something to that extent, roughly.
Okay.
And before you know it, you done looked up, and I'm talking about that thing going, it's gonna be on. It's gonna be a very nice
Mhm.
monthly note. You're gonna be
Right.
frustrated, and you're gonna be looking somewhere else. And
Okay.
now the problem is you've lost time, you've lost years because you're older. You've been to the doctor 2 or 3 times, and they done put some new prescriptions on your list. And now
Mm.
those prescriptions might affect the new rate that you would qualify for.
Wow.
So I'm not a fan of a term in the sense of if it's the only product that you have.
Okay.
Um, Term is meant to be enticing because you can get a whole lot for just a little. I have a combination on for my family, right?
Mhm.
Because why wouldn't I pay just this little bit of something if I can get a great, trade off?
Right.
But knowing that something in that agreement is going to change later, I want to get something permanent that
Mhm.
I to change regardless of my circumstances, regardless of time, regardless of health.
Okay.
So I recommend normally to most of my clients, if you can, then get both. But if you can only get one,
Mhm.
lean over here toward a whole life policy.
Okay.
A lot of people don't like whole life because it's more expensive. The
Mhm.
reason I like whole life is because it's a guarantee that nothing ever changes. My rate is going to be the same, regardless of if I'm healthy 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now, if something happens, God forbid, because we know people are dealing with health challenges.
Right.
So we can't pretend like that's not a real problem
Mhm.
and just go off wishful thinking. Like we have to deal with the circumstance as it is. And many people are waiting.
Mhm.
I'm gonna wait till I retire. I got benefits on my job. I don't need to get my own because I can just do it when I retire. Well, most
Mhm.
people are retiring. What's the average retirement age right now?
65.
65 years old. So you mean to tell me at 45, while you're working and you got a steady income, you don't want to pay for this policy because you're younger, you got less health problems, and you got more money? But 20 years from now, you want to get a rate that's comfortable for you compared to the rate that you should have would have got 20 years prior. That's not
Mhm.
going to happen.
Right.
And so 20 years is a long time when you're talking about insurance. And every birthday that you have, some people don't know this, but every time you have a birthday, your rate is going to increase just by that alone. Let's say your health is exactly the same, but every
Mhm.
time you have a birthday, it's going to go up a few dollars.
Wow.
So I recommend get the whole life policy as soon as possible. Lock in that price. It might be a little frustrating, and if you don't want to pay on it forever, then get you one that you can pay off, which is
Okay.
another style of product. And that might I might be giving too much, but within the whole life space, you have again, trying to boil it down to two things. You're going to boil it down to one that you can pay off, and then you own it. Boom. 20 years, you make payments. They're a little bit higher, but you're working. So now you have it paid off. You don't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
And then when you get to retirement age, that policy belongs to you. It's an asset.
Wow.
All right. Or if you're saying, I'll just budget it out and I'll pay, from now until Jesus comes, that's fine too. You'll be paying a little bit on it until
Right.
you're about 100 years old. And that's what kind of turns people off. But again, you're paying a pretty small amount relatively. And in doing so, you get a very promising payout for your loved ones and that peace of mind that, I don't even know if we can put a price on that. Let me know if I was talking too much. I'm a
No, 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 no. No, this is actually pretty good. One of the most common myths is that life insurance is only necessary for people with dependents. What is your take on this?
well, I don't know. I could see where people would build that case, right?
Okay.
Well, if I die, you know, my I don't have a wife, so I'm not gonna leave her anything because she's not there. Somebody else will figure it out, or
Mhm.
my children will take care of it. I don't have any children. Some people might say, or
Right.
my brother or sister will take, and so those people, most of the time, they have someone in their family who's going to wind up being responsible.
Okay.
And so I just, for me, it's like I might as well just take care of it. But if you don't, I guess, there are some people out there who genuinely are just flying through life and they don't have anything or anybody. I guess those people do exist, but that's not most people. Most
Okay.
people are going to say, when push comes to shove, someone is going to come in and lay claim and say, that's my brother, that's my whoever, my loved one. And now, as laying claim to this loved one, who's going to take responsibility? We just going to, leave it up to the state, leave it up to the,
Mhm.
you're going to leave you down there as a John Doe on a slab. Some people don't care. I mean, but I think most of us want to have that level of dignity to where we're properly, sent home, if you will.
Right. Right.
And so, for those that it absolutely doesn't matter, I wouldn't try to sway them, if that's their world. But I think most of us live in a world where we don't want to leave that burden on our loved ones,
Mhm.
and this is the surest way to do so. And again, that's just talking about the funeral itself. Like,
Mhm.
we still aren't really tapping into, for those of us like yourself and myself, like we're looking at not only being a blessing to keep that burden off, but being a blessing to leave an inheritance for our
Mhm.
children, our grandchildren, right? Just the way God has wired me, my heart, I talk to my kids often. I say, y'all better take care of like, and ain't none of them even close to having no grandbabies right now. But they know I ain't playing, but I also, in that, I'm also preparing for them, and I'm gonna have things in place for them. And this, to me, is one of the greatest vehicles or tools to do so.
Mhm.
To make sure that regardless, that your family is going to have something that assists them continuing the legacy.
Mhm. The word tells us to leave an inheritance for our children and our children's children.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it does, and I think this would go right into it pretty much. But we'll talk about that one a little later. Is
Okay.
it true? Is it true that life insurance is too expensive for the average person, and how can someone determine what they can afford?
That's a great question. And to which, I guess, the first question is, what are we defining as too expensive?
Mm,
It's literally so easy to just like get what you need. Like, you don't
mhm,
have to bite off more than you can chew.
mhm,
Um, and let's say again, like, hey, I'm just on a budget. I'm on a fixed income,
mhm,
which I'm the current. So when I first started, um, I was an independent contractor,
Okay.
and well, when I first started, I was actually doing employee benefits.
Hmm.
So I'll come back to that. But um, I've had a pretty wide range in my career, right?
Hmm.
And to answer that, there's so many different products out there, literally for everybody, every person's situation.
Okay.
It's just overwhelming because people are like, I'm going to make that call one day. I'm going to make that call one day. I'm going to make just call. They
Mm.
feel like someone is going to try to sell them on something. They feel like someone is going to try to pressure them. Or you got people, I don't want to talk to nobody. Just send me the information.
Mm.
And with all due respect, I mean, that's the equivalent of having, having any other career. I won't say like I won't put myself on the level of a doctor, but I,
Mhm.
I had to take some tests. You know, what I mean, I had to go through some studies. I got to do some continuing education. I got to because there's so much material, right?
Mhm.
And so imagine if you were, going to a doctor and you just say, "Hey, just send me some brochures. I'll read up on it. I'll come up with a diagnosis, and then I'll come back and tell you what procedure that I want to get done." It
Mhm.
just, it's kind of it. Just call. They can't force you to buy nothing.
Right.
Uh, and but there's not a company out there that has a brochure that is going to give you all the information that you need.
Right.
Uh, because the brochure is all the study material that we all had to use to get licensed.
That's true.
So I say all that to say, just kind of jokingly, but it's very inexpensive. Um,
Mhm.
you just got to know what you need. We do a needs analysis. I know that's one of the main things that we were taught from the very beginning. Do a needs analysis. Not
Mhm.
everybody needs $20,000, 40,000, 100,000. Some
Mhm.
people just need $5,000.
Mm.
And if that's all you need, or if that's all you can manage, then let's get that
Mhm.
because something is better than nothing, right?
Right. Right.
Um, but you get, like I was saying before, let's say you get a little bit of a small whole life and a little bit extra
Mhm.
term policy to cover the
Mhm.
difference.
Mhm.
That's going to do your family tremendously, right?
Right.
Um, and it's going to be comfortable on your pocket.
Mhm.
You can probably get coverage and take care of all that you need. Again, depending on your age and your health,
Mhm.
um, you can probably get it for what they say less than $1 a day. That's a real number. Like that's not just what the commercials say, and that's almost now again. There's always some little variation, and this is what
Mhm.
but most companies, most A+ rated companies,
Mhm.
um, are going to be within a few dollars of each other. Then they
Okay.
shouldn't be $10 to $20 difference per your
Mhm.
age if it's the same product.
Mhm.
So $30 a month. I just insured a lady and her child. This was actually very recent. It
Okay.
was $16.
Mm.
$16 for her and her daughter. Um, and they both got because she's a younger mom. So her daughter is on her policy as a rider, and so for $16 and some no $19, I'm sorry, $19 and some change, they both have $10,000 in coverage. And as
Mm.
a single young mom, she's absolutely elated that if something happens to her or her daughter,
Mm.
that she doesn't have to stress about what's going to happen next. Nobody wants to bury their child. The worst thing in the world is having to bury your child and not even being able to grieve because you have to go into business mode and figure out where you're going to get this money. You got to make how many phone calls to get that thousand, that 10,000, that
Mhm.
whatever. Nobody wants to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So she was just like that took a weight off of her.
Mm.
$19.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
what? It's like, so, no, it's not expensive. I know I gave you a long answer, but $19, her and her daughter are covered.
Mhm.
You can't beat that.
You can't
Uh,
be.
versus like, and again, this is I got a call about 3 weeks ago. Somewhere it was in September. We just crossed over to October here, but about 3 weeks ago, early September,
Mhm.
a lady called me and she introduced herself, real pleasant. You could tell she was a little disoriented,
Wow.
and so I was like, she had my name and everything, right? And I was like, I try to remember my people. Sometimes you miss some, but
Right.
it wasn't one of the clients. It was a what we would call a prospect, a potential client. It was his sister.
Okay.
And so I went to looking through all my notes and my emails. She gave me his name, and
Mhm.
um, at first, if I'm being honest, I thought it was a situation where like um, sometimes you'll have someone that a loved one is like, I want to talk to you and see what you done sold my family. What you done sold my mama, my daddy, my whoever. You
Mhm.
want to make sure you're not getting over on them. And I was like, okay, so I was ready to just like answer, whatever question she had. The only question she had was, did I or was I actually her brother's agent? Did I
Mhm.
sign him up for life insurance like he told her? And I was looking through all my notes, everything. And I finally found that he and I had a conversation in April. Down my name, wrote down my number, wrote
Mhm.
down the prices that we had talked about, and then he told me he wanted to think about it.
Mm.
She's in his apartment. She found my name, my number, and all the info on the kitchen table.
Mhm.
He never called me back.
Wow.
And unfortunately, she was in the process of planning his funeral when she called.
Wow.
I almost felt responsible, almost felt kind of, guilty.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's like I remember, and I started to remember she was describing him, and I was like, I do remember talking to him, and yeah, he said he wanted to do it. Like every it was one of those where it's like, yeah, why didn't I sign him up? Why didn't it, go forward? But he didn't. He never called back, and I guess I whatever happened, I didn't reach him after that. It came off my radar,
Because we think
and
we have time.
we think we got time.
Mhm.
So from April, now mind you, he didn't have any particular health issue. He
Mhm.
passed unexpectedly
Wow.
in his apartment by himself. He, one of those situations where you notice, hey, nobody's
Mhm.
seen so and so in a few days.
Wow.
Somebody goes by the house to check on him, and he was in his apartment by himself.
Wow.
And you can't help but feel the weight. Like the scripture talks about, mourn with those who mourn. Like you can't help but feel the weightiness of that. And like
Absolutely.
I said, I could tell she was disoriented and
Mhm.
trying to piece it all together. And she's like, I see your name. Please tell me that this is taken care of. And I had to tell her, unfortunately, it's not.
Wow.
Um, but there's so many stories, so many situations like that. And
Mhm.
so, like I said, it makes me more diligent and, just more vigilant even,
Mhm.
to make sure that I'm presenting it to people. You don't want to scare people.
Right.
You want to give them the truth.
Mhm.
So for very little, you can get a lot. And no, it doesn't have to break the bank, but it's worth doing.
Right. Many people believe that life insurance is it's only for older individuals. Can you explain why this might be a misconception?
I think we all feel like we're Superman. You
Uh,
know, when we're younger, everybody's like you just said a moment ago, we got time. I have time. I have time. I have time. And that's just not true. The
mhm,
best thing you can do is get life insurance when you're younger because you're going to get a better rate.
mhm,
You're going to get you're going to have more options. You're going to have just better options, period. Better
mhm,
products. So like one that's popular now, I'm not a huge fan, but a lot of people talk about it, return of premium. And so with the return of premium, you have to have 20 years on the back end. I'm pretty sure that's almost across every company that has that product. You got to
mhm.
have about 20 years on the back end in order to get that.
Wow.
Well, why would I wait? The longer I wait, the less I have options for that product.
Mm,
And then they'll see the commercial, they'll be watching, whatever.
Mhm.
Wheel of Fortune or who whatever their favorite cowboys, westerns, soap operas, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, Picking on my granny now because they got shows
Absolutely.
in rotation. But so they see something, they see a product that gets their attention, and they're like, "Ooh, I like that."
Mhm.
And then they call and they're not eligible, and they say, "Oh, that company lied."
Wow.
No, that's just you can't have every product for every person in every situation. But
Mhm.
if you would have been proactive, if you would have talked to someone sooner, you would have had more products to choose from, and you could have made the decision that made the most sense for you.
Wow.
Um, so no, I would say the worst situation to be in is when you're older, waiting to get insurance. I Again, I could go on, but I've had people 86 years old, 90 years old. I spoke with a young man last month,
Mhm.
90 years old. He said,
Wow.
"I just want to see what y'all might be able to do for me." And
Oh.
he was so, I mean, pleasant, super cool, Um, but unfortunately, we couldn't do anything for him. Most insurance companies, there's a handful that'll go up to 90, but that's the cutoff, legit. But most companies stop at 85.
Wow.
I would venture to say
Mm.
companies will stop it. Um, in other words, you cannot get a newly issued policy after the age of 85. So if you have whole life and you have that policy in place, it will stay in place beyond that age, but you cannot get issued a new policy for coverage after that age.
Mm.
So no, you don't want to wait till the end because it's going to, and most people in retirement, fixed income, social security, the prices that are out there, it's not going to be friendly.
Mhm.
You're trying to survive $1,000 a month, $900 a month. That's not no that's I won't get into that. You know the crisis. Like that's a whole that's plaguing our country.
Yes.
Let me say this real quick. When we were still going door to door,
Mhm.
the, some of the most heart wrenching and sad situations is going into a home. Some of these homes don't
Mhm.
even look like they should be lived in. Let's just start with that.
Wow.
And when I first started, so rabbit trail. So remember I told you I started doing business to business. I was doing employee benefits.
Mhm.
So I'm in businesses. I'm in meeting with the owners and the HR department, and it's all, uh and then now I'm going from home to home, and I still would get suited up the same way like I was going business to business.
Mhm.
And I go in and I sit down, they'd invite me in, and then you be looking like, I don't know if I really want to sit down in here. And not to be bougie or to be,
I understand.
but
Mm.
it's really like you're looking at them like, baby, how are you living here?
Mm.
Where your kids at? Where
Mhm.
the people that love you?
Wow.
And it's not necessarily because they're just these, nasty people or horrible people. It's because they can't afford it.
Mhm.
And now here I am, oftentimes feeling like, oh, I don't know if I want to sell you anything,
Wow.
right? Because like I know you're on a budget.
Wow.
And I had to learn how to get work past that. That's a whole nother story. That's the conversation I would have, for people who are interested in doing what I do. But you have to realize you're meeting a need for them.
Mhm.
And so um you're meeting a need that truly, like, it's more of a need than their kids or whatever those things are that they do to splurge. But you got to figure out a way to make that $1,000 work.
Mhm.
You got to figure out a way to make that $982.63 work. And it might mean that they only get a small policy, and they might have to do something that they weren't necessarily wanting to do. They might not be able to do a traditional ceremony. They might
Mhm.
have to do a cremation, and you got to have that heart to heart conversation with them. We can get that done within the confines of your budget, and not put you in a situation where your living conditions are going to be worse off because because you are on a fixed income, and
Mm.
having that real conversation. So I say all that to say, to get back to your original question, get it while you're younger, while you're working, get it while it's affordable, get it while you're healthy, get it
Mhm.
while you have more options. The
Mhm.
younger, the better.
You know,
Now,
you. Mhm. Go ahead.
No, no, that's it. Because I can go on. This, this to my heart. You know what I mean?
I
Because
understand.
once I got past the part of it just being, where I realized like this is not just business. This is honestly, you're meeting such a major need in people's life. So it's not even just a want. It's not even just it'd be nice to. You got to figure out a way to make this happen. And what I know is the sooner that we help people, then the better we're really doing them that service.
Thank you. I'm not being rude. As you're speaking, questions are arising outside of what I originally had for you. So I'm just making myself mental notes. You
So
talked about
you don't
uh, insurance, where pretty much people don't know that they need it. How do you present the need to a potential client? Present the need to them that yes, this is what you need.
oof. Um,
Hmm.
so it goes back to the needs assessment, right?
Hmm.
Um, because it's not cookie cutter. Everybody's situation is different.
Hmm.
And if you approach it like that, you'll really I mean, you have to approach it like that.
Hmm.
I guess, when you first start off, you just happy to be talking to somebody. You just if you just whatever they tell you to do, you're gonna do it. But as you kind of navigate through this, you start to understand there's a few fundamental things that are going to be consistent, and you try to get to that core.
Hmm.
When you're talking to a husband and wife that's been together, forever, they know,
Hmm.
when they, especially when they're initiating the call,
Hmm.
I don't want to leave this burden on my wife. I'm the breadwinner. When I leave, I'm taking some of the money with me. She's not gonna get all of it. She's gonna lose some of it, or he gonna lose some of it.
Hmm.
And I don't want her. I got something like I paid for the plot already. I paid for the headstone already, and they own it. And I just want this last little piece to make sure. And
Wow.
so, but you got to talk to them and get them to feel comfortable talking to you, because what I tell my clients is we're going to make this decision. We're going to make the best decision together.
Mhm. Right.
Um, I'm not just here to overload you with a bunch of information. I don't do nearly this much talking when like I want to hear from them. But
Mhm.
um, you know, once they kind of have unlocked the real element of their heart, then it's easy to just say, okay, well, this is what makes the most sense, right?
Mhm.
Um, like I mentioned, the young lady, she's a single mom.
Mhm.
That's easy. She just want to make sure her baby is taken care of, because she
Mhm.
know every day somebody's leaving their children here unexpectedly.
Absolutely.
Someone is. To be honest with you, it's just a love language.
Mhm.
If I had to, that's what it comes down to. For the
Mhm.
people who are like, kind of, I've you got, I ain't leaving nobody nothing. You got some of those. I ain't making nobody rich. They ain't gonna get rich off me dying. Okay, whatever you feel. I frankly don't care if they get rich or not. I'm gone. What difference do I care? But but,
Absolutely.
but most of the time, it's just a language of love. It's,
Mhm.
it's the last little gift from a father just wants to tell his children one more time, "Hey, I got you."
Mhm.
It's or mama. Like, mama always looked out for us. She always took care of this, and we want to make sure she good to go. Not knowing mama called and mama got a policy and she got all of them on it. And that's real cool when you talk, multiple people in the family. You're like, hey, wait a minute,
Mhm.
everybody, and love.
Mhm.
Everybody just wants to make sure that their loved one is taken care of and they don't leave a burden.
Right. Right.
And once you figure that part out, you realize that's it.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I just say it like that. It's love. Love.
Okay. We'll take that. There's a myth that life insurance provided by employees is sufficient. Can you discuss the potential pitfalls of relying solely on employer provided insurance?
That is a very good question. So, once upon a time, when we were incentivized to
Mhm.
stay with companies
Mhm.
for extended periods of time.
Mhm.
They would give us packages, right? And those packages often included even, life insurance and things like that. Most of the time, you could own that. So when I started, one of the companies I was with at the time, one of the things that was unique about that company is that the if you got a group rate and you were at this company for X amount of time, you could convert and take it with you
Mhm.
when you retire or go to another place of employment.
Mhm.
There was just a few little steps you had to take, but you were allowed to continue with that coverage,
Mhm.
which is great. One, most people forget.
Mhm.
So if they leave, which again, the average tenure at a job now, and for people, it's just a different world. I won't get too much into that, but most people are staying on a job less than 5 years now, right? We're not doing 20, 30 years, retiring, getting pensions and all that stuff. Because I'm funding my own 401k, I'm funding my own, whatever, I won't get, but
Mhm.
and I can take that with me wherever I go. You guys aren't incentivizing me to stay and give me anything.
Mhm.
Uh, and then also we know that the rate of someone's income, their salary increase is substantially increased when they actually do leave every 2 to 3 years, because then you negotiate your salary. So my loyalty to this company isn't as great as it used to be back in the day when Granny and Grandpa and them was doing it.
Mhm.
So why would I do that?
Right.
And then now this just becomes one more thing that I have to keep an eye on for negotiations and leverage and et cetera, and make sure I don't lose it.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna be leaving from here anyway.
Right.
Right. Now let's say I do stay, and let's just say because we got like some of our teachers, like I spoke with a teacher,
Mhm.
and depending on who the carrier is, who the provider is, she literally called me a few months ago. She just called me a couple weeks back and
Mhm.
said, "Hey, I checked, and we had a real conversation. I told her what to ask." Because again, obviously, I wanted to sign up. I want to, earn her business. But I told her, look, if you have the option to convert, they typically are going to give you a good rate. So I still tell people that if you can take it with you and convert it to from group to individual,
Mhm.
usually if that company does it, it's usually to your benefit. But
Okay.
some companies just don't allow it. When you leave, that's it. You're
Wow.
done.
Wow.
So
Mhm.
she called me back and she said they don't.
Wow.
So she said, "I'm gonna be getting in touch with you. I'm putting the last few little pieces together. I'm, putting." She's very meticulous, so
Mhm.
she's planning her retirement to the penny. Like, and she was, real neat lady.
Mhm.
But she was appreciative. She said, "Thank you for giving me what to ask and not trying to force me into this or this."
Mhm.
Um, because again, it's just there's no need to. Like, there's something out there for everybody. But the dangers of employee benefits is if they do or don't convert, which you need to know, but most people don't know, and they don't know what questions to ask. You have a guru, I say, that comes around once a year. He
Mhm.
just wants to sign up whoever's going to sign up.
Mhm.
You don't have like my clients, and I'm not going to say I'm the only one, but like this is just how I do it, and the people that are in my circle, I
Mhm.
like we're family because again, when we're talking about the love language of this thing, they got to know that they can trust you. They got to know that they can call you at a random time and
Mhm.
they're going to be able to get someone on the line. When you're doing it through your job,
Mhm.
you may or may not see that person again. You're not gonna you have their direct number.
Mhm.
Um, they just wait. They just coming back once a year, and then next year you're gonna be like, hey, it was a different guy last year. It was two different people in there last year, and that
Mhm.
happens. All right. So then the danger finally is now you're about ready to retire.
Mhm.
You're older. Same. We're going back to the same formula. When you retire, you're older. So the rate that you would have gotten as an individual,
Mhm.
you've lost 20, 30 years of that. When you could have had a product at a cheaper rate or a more aggressive rate and paid it off, or like you had more products that you could choose from. So same thing. So that it's just the danger of complacency is really the biggest enemy in that equation. You're complacent because you feel like the same thing. I have more time,
Mhm.
but you're relinquishing your time. Um, and I would say just do the investigation. Call somebody and find out, like she did. Find out in advance. Know what your options are. And nowadays we got, go ask ChatGPT or somebody if you have to, if you just don't want to talk to anybody. But know that you won't always be this young, you won't always be this healthy. And every time you go to the doctor, I, this was a few days ago. Actually on Saturday, I spoke with a young lady, and she in August went to the doctor. She's got arthritis, and she was having some like some fluid build up, and they was trying to figure out what was causing the fluid build up. They had her um, on a blood pressure medication, which is but
Mhm.
something that people don't think about. So she
Mhm.
was on one blood pressure medication, no problem. They experimented with two or three other blood pressure medications.
Mm.
The difference between one blood pressure medication and two or three, and in a short window, is the difference between something that's called uncontrolled versus controlled, or the other way around, right? Controlled, uncontrolled.
Mhm.
When you're talking to these companies, that's one thing that they're going to look at, and your rate is going to be affected. So,
Mhm.
because unless there's companies out there that do a little cookie cutter and they give everybody basically the same thing,
Mhm.
and I'm, you know, that's a whole nother conversation. But companies are going to look at that. That goes on your medical record. There's a little thing called the Medical Information Bureau. And when we get HIPAA authorization, we're able to look at the MIB. We're able to look at your prescription check. And when we look at your prescription, and you say, "I don't take that," but Miss Jones, did they prescribe it to you? Yeah. Okay, Miss Jones. And I just use Miss Jones as a fictitious name, but y'all tracking with me. So Miss Jones, did you go pick it up? Yes, I did. Okay, but I don't take it. I don't take that foolishness. They ain't finna get me to take all the medications. Okay, well, sweetheart, I want to help you, but it's showing in this short window of time you have been prescribed and have filled 4 medications for the same illness. That looks like it's controlled, and that's going to affect your rating, and that's going to cause your price to go up. So you're going to get a lower rating, you're going to get a higher premium. Nobody
So
wants
let me stop you right there because I need this answer for myself.
break it down. Break it down.
So if they if they prescribe you medication and you don't take it, um, either you pick it up or you don't pick it up. So if you don't pick it up, but they prescribed it, um,
You're still good because
you're good. You're in a good
yeah,
place.
if you haven't filled it, you're still okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
But most of the time, what do we do? I'm gonna just go pick it up just in case, or I'm gonna just go pick it up because I don't want to be non-compliant. Because that's another thing. When you get older, they start picking on you a little bit, right?
Mhm.
You got your children in one ear, you got your doctor in the other ear. You
Mhm.
like, I know my body better than anybody else. They ain't gonna tell me what to do. And then they start trying to slap them labels on you. And you remember that management when he was on the airplane
Yes.
and they was telling him calm down,
Hmm.
and basically he like, I am calm, and the more you try to fight and resist to prove your point, the worse it gets, right? That happens to our seniors a lot, and the changing of the guard where they're losing their voice, as far as people taking them seriously and honoring, and not always, but this story happens way too often. And so in an effort find a happy compromise,
Hmm.
they'll do stuff like that. They'll go get the prescription because they don't want their doctor to label them as non-compliant. They don't want their children to say, "Mama, you being hard-headed, you ain't listening. That doctor tried." And then they don't want, God forbid, something to happen to them
Hmm.
where they do need help or they do have a situation, and everybody's saying, "See, if you would have done what they told you, then," right? So
Hmm.
they just trying to avoid all that. And so the doctors say, "Go get it." They go get it. But when they get home, like in this case, you know, I picked it up. It's sitting in the drawer in the bag, and I'm not taking it. And that makes sense. And you can tell when they just telling you that because some of them be trying to slide one by you, but some of them you can tell. She like it's still in the bag. You can hear you can hear a crumple in the bag. It's right here. I forgot all about it. I ain't touched it. Yes, ma'am. I believe you. I believe 100% that you're telling me the truth.
Mhm.
However, it is on your check. It's on your medical information bureau record, and
Mhm.
so I can't do anything about that because the underwriting is going to look at that little piece of information to make
Mhm.
their decision.
Okay. So some people think that if you have a pre-existing condition, that you can't get insurance. What is the reality to this question?
There's some truth to that.
Mm.
The pre-existing condition it will limit your options.
Okay.
It will limit your options depending on the severity of it. But so uh, I think I was telling you. So I used to be an independent contractor. I had
Mm-hmm.
contracts with probably 12 to 15, maybe somewhere in there, 10, 12, 15. It was at different points, different companies. And the reason we do that is because each of those companies has a slightly different exception in their underwriting. And underwriting is essentially just determining what type of client we will accept, what type of client and how we'll rate that client. So
Mm-hmm.
one company, you got, Miss Jones, she's got COPD, and Mr. Jones has diabetes, type 2, something like that. So he's on multiple diabetic medication.
Mm-hmm.
So as their agent, I'm in a position where I have a company that doesn't care about COPD. So I can write you and get you a tier one for simplicity. I can get you a top rating because that's not one of the things in their underwriting that they care about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll put Mr. Jones with ABC company because they don't care about diabetes. But I couldn't put Mrs. Jones with the same company that I put Mr. Jones with because this ABC company, they are strict on COPD, breathing conditions. They're not going, so they'll accept you, but your price is going to be, you know, up here. So
Mm-hmm.
I can get both of those, that husband and that wife. I got you with 1, 2, 3, and I got you with ABC, and both of y'all are happy because you got Kenny Kenny Dunham G. Hey, that's a bar. All right, so you got me, and so you're happy with your rate. Y'all both got tier one,
Mm-hmm.
but again, um, you're not gonna know that unless you speak to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then you have some companies that they try to cover everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll have a different product, and it might be just a slight little variation. Anyway, uh, you can get coverage. There
Mm-hmm.
are very few conditions that will prevent you from getting any coverage. Now, if you're very sickly, there are certain conditions that will cause you to get the bottom tier coverage, which normally comes with a waiting period. If you're really sick, it's going to be like a 3-year period before it goes into place. But
Mm-hmm.
there's still coverage available, and it's still better than nothing.
Okay. We are 6 minutes shy of 8 o'clock.
Goodness, I've been running off at the mile.
That's okay.
I'll be talking.
Do you still have a few more minutes, or do you want to table this as a part two?
Oh, whatever you need. I've cleared my schedule. I was gonna go in there and make me some fresh juice. I just cleaned up my beets and some pineapples. That's my new hobby now. My new habit is juicing. So, but other
Okay.
than that, I'm wide open.
Okay, great. So I have a few more questions that I think um, is important for our audience to know. One of those questions you talked about earlier about whole life insurance, right?
Hmm.
Can you explain the difference between term life insurance and whole life insurance and the pros and cons of each?
Absolutely. All right. I would recommend a term life policy under these conditions.
Okay.
Um, if you need to cover a large amount of debt. So,
Mm,
for example, when you're younger, you get married, you and your wife get a mortgage. Um, you have your cars and your toys and all your gadgets and gizmos, right? But it's during your working years, and you're anticipating, I'm going to have time to pay these things off.
mhm,
But God forbid, if something happens to you, that debt is left on your significant other. So you would want a term policy where you can pay pennies on the dollar and have enough to cover in the event of your untimely demise. It'll cover those things that you would want your spouse to have. One,
mhm,
you don't want her to have to pay for it out of pocket.
mhm,
Two, you don't want her to lose it, um, because she's having to come up with money in the absence. Because people don't factor this in. We're
mhm,
going from two incomes possibly, especially in today's life. Or if you're doing more of a traditional, which some people are still doing, where you
mhm,
got to stay at home wife. So she's not working at all. And if you pass away, that burden of everything that you all were building falls squarely on her shoulders.
mm.
You're going to want a term policy to cover all of that.
Wow.
But at the same time, I'm going to recommend that you get a whole life policy. You can get both. So that's something that I've heard people where they feel like they have to choose one or the other.
Mhm.
I'm going to say get both
Okay.
because you're young, because you're healthy. Get that whole life policy locked in because you're never going to be younger than you are right now. And you're probably not going to be healthier than you are right now.
Mm,
Right. So the younger you are and the healthier you are, the the better you're going to get a rate. And go to a company if you have to ask a few more questions. That's fine. Those few more questions might save you a few more dollars, and
mhm,
you're going to be happy that you did that.
mhm,
Now, once you do that, you keep both of those policies maintained, and you get one for her, you get one for him, and y'all keep those secured, and
mhm,
hold on to them. If you gotta eat noodles for a season of your life or whatever, we go through the struggle. You know how to maintain, but
mhm.
prioritize holding on to those.
Okay.
If you are not in that situation and
Mhm,
you don't have a large amount of something to cover, again, presumably when we get a mortgage, if we're going traditional, we're looking at, I'm going to pay this off in 30 years.
mhm,
And then I'm going to be done working a few years after that, or, somewhere in that ballpark. And if everything stays on track, you'll be fine when that policy expires. You're good. But remember, they don't owe you anything and you don't owe them anything.
wow.
It's just that's it, that's all. Whatever you signed up for, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, that's it, that's all.
Mm,
The whole life now, you've transitioned into retirement
mhm,
and you still want to make sure that your funeral is taken care of, or you still want to make sure you leave a little something regardless of how old you live. For those of us that might have longevity in our family, and we're used to seeing Big Mama and Papa be 95, 97. We used to seeing people in our family make it to 100, but we
mhm,
don't want to be at 97 years old and we finally do go on to be with the Lord, and we still got to have our family do a fish fry or sell
mm,
chicken steaks. That would be,
mm,
kind of, that wouldn't be good stewardship, in my opinion.
mhm.
So you get you a whole life that's gonna cover you, and it'll take you all the way from now until Jesus comes, no matter the situation.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a permanent rate. It's never gonna change. That's what
Mhm,
people want to know. Whole life, the payment never changes. If you sign
okay.
up for $20 a month, it's gonna be $20 a month, even when you whatever age. It's gonna be $20 a month, even if you end up having a heart attack. It's not gonna change, right? Whatever happens after that agreement does not change what that arrangement is.
Okay.
So that's the main two differences. One of
Oh,
them has some changes built into it. Make sure you know what those changes are.
okay.
One of them is permanent and nothing about it changes.
Awesome. Awesome. I have a two-part question, but um, yeah, I'll just do this. There's often confusion between life insurance and health insurance. Can you clarify the differences?
Yes. and I'll throw another one in there that's gonna aggravate you. When you get older, then you got to learn with the different Medicare parts, A, B, C, and D. And I do have people who are often confused about that.
Okay.
Um, but uh, yeah, I had someone call and they were like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say. I've been trying my best not to say any names of any companies,
Yeah.
but I got, the big folk with you know, I
Mm-hmm.
got them. And I say, well, what do they take care of for you? And they tell me, and I said, ma'am or sir, yes, I get it, and that's a good company, but
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't take care of your burial. That's for when you go see the doctor. So number one, quickest, easiest way is one of them takes care of you while you still living and breathing and moving, and the other one is for when you stop living, breathing, and moving, and you go on the other side. As they say, when you go on to sleep or when you go to be with the Lord. What happens when you're gone and your family has to do the next step? Your health insurance has nothing to do with that. That's just to help you stay here with us a little bit longer. But when you do go, we don't want to be caught off guard and have to come up with a lump sum of 10,000, 12,000, $15,000 all of a sudden. Um, and so that's the main difference. And so, yeah, I just leave it at that.
Okay.
One of them is to keep you here, and one of them is for when you finally gone.
Mm, thank you for putting it so nicely. I have a a two-part question. This is the two-part question. Is life insurance a good investment? How should people approach this topic when considering their financial planning? Actually, it's a three-part. And can you borrow against your life insurance?
All right, excellent. Life insurance is over 100 years old easily. In some variation, you could even say 200 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
People have been doing this for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is one of the industries that, in spite of uh, all the economic changes and shifts that we've had, this industry has maintained a very significant place and relevance in all economic conversations. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
reason for that.
Okay.
There's a reason why wealthy people leverage it, um, and they use it to build generational wealth. They use it to pass on wealth. It's non-taxable. There's so many benefits to it. So I would say yes, it's very much worth investing into it. I think it's a very good investment because ultimately it's a this is textbook definition, so this isn't really me making up anything special, but it's a transfer of risk. Everyone wants to live forever. What's that old song? Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. None of us want to die, but we're going to at some point. We're leaving, and unless the Lord come and catch us up in a chariot and give us our own little transform, our transportation. The rest of us regular folk, we're gonna go to sleep, and so it's inevitable. So
Mm-hmm.
why not take that transfer of risk? I put in a little. If I've got a company that gives me day one immediate coverage, no waiting period,
Mm-hmm.
and I pass away after I make my first payment, my family win. We put in $50 and we got 50,000. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
can't you can't beat that with the lottery. You know what I mean? So now there's a tipping point, and I think a lot of people, don't like this part, but there is a tipping point to where I I cross over that threshold, and now I'm paying into the policy either roughly what I could have saved, or something close to that. But here's
Mm-hmm.
the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like I told you, coming from financial literacy, we know that most people don't even have rainy day money.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, statistically in America, most
Mm-hmm.
people could not survive 2 weeks if they were unemployed. They immediately go into a significant downward spiral after just 2 weeks of no income.
Mm-hmm.
So from that standpoint, yes, if you can put these few little dollars over here, it's absolutely going to be a good investment for you. But
Okay.
then if you're strategic and intentional and you educate yourself, then you can also use this to build wealth and to pass on wealth.
Huh?
So from my standpoint, there's not really a loss or very minimal loss. Um, and what you gain, what the risk uh,
Mhm.
calculated for what you gain is substantially better for what you could lose.
Mm.
And that's not even from a sales perspective. That's just looking at the statistics of generation after generation who have used this. It's a tool. This is a tool. And so when you use this tool properly, what are tools for? For fixing things and building things. And so when you have that mindset and you use that as the framework to use this tool, you'll understand how it benefits you and your family for now and for generations to come. And to segue into what you were saying, if you have a small policy, you don't really want to touch the cash value in it. You don't really want to borrow against it.
Uh-huh.
Um, because again, you end up kind of you setting yourself back. But it
Mm.
is there if you need it. So yeah, people do it. But it is technically a loan against your policy. Now,
Okay.
if you have a large policy, maybe yeah, it might be worth it. I know people who have done that, and we had a client. Uh, this was back when I was still going door to door. They
Mhm.
they had a situation with their legs, and you
Mhm.
know they needed the money. They used the money, the cash value, and they got a ramp built on the house, and they was perfectly happy to go ahead and start to pay that back without having to get a loan and a high interest rate and da 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 da. So there are situations where it makes sense.
Okay.
So
Great. Mhm. Go ahead.
so yes, I would say it is absolutely a great tool to invest in. Um, and if and this is also like we were talking about before, you can get a paid up policy, a whole life policy that you pay off and you own it. Now that goes into your asset column. That go like if you ever fill out
Mhm.
any type of if you needed financial assistance, if you are applying for a loan, if they ask you how many bank accounts you have and what's your average in each bank account. They
Mhm.
ask you if you have life insurance already. They ask you all those because people historically that was a standard. People would buy a life insurance policy and pay it off. You'd go into Big Mama's little filing cabinet, and she'd have 4 or 5 different small policies, but she paid all of them off. So she's got 4 policies, $5,000 each, and everybody's like, "When did she do that?" She was just biting off a little bit at a time that she could chew, and she was paying them off, paying them off, paying them off, and now she owns them. She got the certificate that says she owns it.
Wow.
Nobody can take that from her, and she don't never got to pay on it another day in her life.
Wow.
And when they needed to go and get a loan, they could leverage that loan against that, or they could cash it out. She had options. So there's ways to be strategic about it. And I think in this information age, there's no excuse for us to just say it's too complicated. Get one of them young folk that they can go out there and do some digging on Google or whoever, or just make the call. Call somebody like myself, and just pick my brain. And I might try to sell you something, or I might just educate you and give you the information to go make the best decision for yourself. But at least you'll know either way.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think I answered all 3 parts. If I didn't, sorry.
That's okay. I have about maybe three more questions, and if you can give us like a concise version, but pinpoint it, because I want an opportunity for you to share what your business is about as well. Um,
Okay.
what advice would you give to someone who's hesitant about purchasing life insurance due to the misconceptions?
Educate yourself.
Okay.
Um, get familiar with the reality of
Mhm.
what's out there. But number two, um, don't let fear drive your decisions. Essentially, you're afraid because it's the unknown. I
Okay.
think that's normal for all of us.
Mhm.
Uh, Doing something new, doing something that is outside of our comfort zone. I spoke with a gentleman earlier today. He was
Mhm.
the first one of his siblings, probably about 10 years ago, to go with this particular company.
Mhm.
He told his brother about it, told his sister about it. They all went with that company. Earlier this year, the brother called me. He saw one of the advertisements. He called me. We got on the phone. I
Mhm.
educated him. We did some comparisons. Um, Turns out that that particular company was higher on the pricing by quite a few years, which is, unfortunate. But when we did all the numbers, we got him situated, and he was very happy. Saved money, saved. It was just a whole lot that went with it.
Okay.
He told his brother. Now, mind you, the brother that I spoke to was with the company that the brother that I spoke to today was
Mhm.
with first. So they switched positions, if you will. So the
Right.
brother that I spoke to today, he made the first move years ago.
Mhm.
But I told him, I said, don't feel bad. You still made a decision.
Mhm.
And if something would happen, which they did have one brother, so it was actually three brothers and one sister.
Mhm.
One of them passed away. One of the brothers already passed, and that company did pay out. So if you hadn't done anything, regardless, even if our prices were better, y'all wouldn't have had anything. So you still made the best decision with what information you had at that time.
Mhm.
So now you're in a situation years later. Okay, now you can make a better decision.
Mhm.
The best decision you can make is the decision that that's available right now. What's that old expression? Uh, and I actually just posted it. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago.
Mm.
The second best time to plant a tree is right now.
Wow.
Can't do
Okay.
anything about all the time lost. Ain't no sense in wasting time crying over wasted time. There is no point. Go
Mhm.
ahead and make the decision today that's going to put your family into the best situation you can. Get the information when you can.
Great. 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 Um, Second question: what are the top three things you wish everyone knew about life insurance?
Ooh, Shetty, that's a good one.
Right.
um,
Curious.
Top three
Mhm.
things I wish everyone knew. Um, it's really easy.
Okay.
It's not super complicated, or it doesn't have to be super complicated.
Mhm.
Um, the younger you are, the better. The healthier you are, the better. And I guess, like, tomorrow's not promised.
Mhm.
Um, that's it. I mean, I guess in a nutshell, we look at so many situations. Like what, and these are just so many. That lady did not think for a second that she was going to have to go into her brother's apartment, right? We had a situation here locally, young man just dealing with some internal struggles.
Mhm.
It was very, nobody saw that. Nobody saw that coming.
Mhm.
Had another young man riding a motorcycle. His mom and his family finally, he convinced them to let him get a motorcycle. He riding, he being safe, he doing all the stuff that he promised them that they would do, that he would do. He's riding another vehicle, a van, runs the light. He was doing it. He was doing the right thing. He's coming through the intersection. They run the light. He T-bones them. His motorcycle runs into the side of the van.
Mhm.
But they were wrong. But he's not here no more.
Mhm.
That was, nobody expected that.
Mhm.
We look at our celebrities, Malcolm Jamal Warner. We can go down the list. We all know in our personal life, so everywhere, every day somebody leaves here and they didn't expect it. Everybody just assumes that the grace of God is going to wake them up in the morning just because. None of us have a real reason to assume that. We're like, well, I woke up every other morning, so why? What I mean? Like, yeah, but how many people? Everybody else woke up every other morning, but somebody didn't wake up this morning.
Mhm.
So don't do it out of fear. but at the same time, don't be reckless and waste time either. Be wise. Be a good steward of the opportunity that God has given to you, and to prepare for your family, you know, so that they can, because money can't replace you. We know that. Your absence is going to be felt, but nobody wants to feel your absence and have to feel the void of coming up with the monetary compensation for that need. So if you're thinking about your funeral and your final arrangements, great, take care of that. And if you're thinking about your children and your grandchildren,
Hmm.
absolutely take care of that. And there's no time better than doing that than right now.
Wow. This is my final question. Um, what should someone do today to take care of their life insurance?
Um, well, I mean, I, I guess uh, the easy thing to do is say, call Kenny, you know. Um, and I'm grateful to be in that position. But yeah, call me, someone like me. If you want to talk to someone, probably most people would say it,
Stop,
but I really don't.
stop fishing. Stop. No, this is your opportunity.
I
How
mean,
can
I'm not,
you take action
it's
today?
one of those, the shameless plug.
They have no
So
hope for
yeah,
your life insurance.
um,
If you're the man, then put it out there. So this
I
is
would
about
say, yes, call Kenny, 414
wait a minute. I'm on the show 414.
676
Mm-hmm.
4938, and tell them, when you call or when you text me, go ahead and put in the code Sherry Levon Harris.
They receive a discount.
Hey, but yes, this is just know this is his will for your life. Hey, man. But all jokes aside, call me, pick my brain. Like so many people have taken me up on that offer, and they don't all sign up, and I'm okay with that, because to me, uh, it's more about you having the information and making the decision when you're comfortable. But what happens is you get paralyzed because you're afraid, and you don't have the information because you won't talk to someone who is a professional. This is a profession. So I think
Mhm,
that's another thing I want to go back to, add something I wish people knew. This is a profession. And so the people who are like, "Oh, just send me something."
mhm,
It's just, there's too broad of a scope to just send you something that you're still going to have questions about, and you're going to end up having to talk to someone anyway.
mhm.
So call Kenny, 414-676-4938. Pick my brain, text me, if you just don't want to talk yet. But what I can do is do a general, like with how we do ours. I can do a quick needs assessment, and in about 15 minutes you can know exactly what is available, and what your rates are going to be. If you don't have, I think we all got 15 minutes. We be on these little devices, doom scrolling. I'm like, man, I ain't even know I was on Instagram that long. Yep, you was.
Right,
38 minutes.
right.
38 minutes. You was just on there for no reason. Look. So take 15 minutes to take care of your family and your loved ones,
Mhm,
and secure your future, secure your legacy, um, and then just go from there. So that's what I would say, honestly. Uh, don't wait. Do it now. You're the youngest you're ever going to be. That's a fact. You are never going to be this young ever again. And depending on what life circumstances happen, you're never going to be this healthy. You right. We all know we're getting a little bit older, and things of that nature. And so one visit to the doctor can change your rate just like that.
mhm,
I've had people literally. Um, One lady called in on a Thursday, and
mhm.
she was like, "Well, I'll talk with you tomorrow once I make my decision." Friday came, she answered the phone, called her back. She answered the phone. She said, "Well, I'm gonna just I feel like I need more time. I'm gonna sleep on it over the weekend. Let me pray about it.
Oh
No
no.
worry. And so Saturday, they wound up at the emergency room. Just and these stories sound like but this happens like so often. You'd be like, you want to just hug them, and you're not really frustrated, but it's like you know.
Hmm.
So you wind up at the emergency room. Um, you get prescribed. What did they get? I think they put them on Eliquis. Put them on Eliquis, which is a heart medication. Guess
Hmm.
what? That changes everything immediately. I have to account for this medication. The question before that, have you ever? And you could confidently on Thursday, you said, never have I ever. On Saturday, now you have to say yes, right? So get the information as soon as possible. That way you can make a decision and make an informed decision on what's going to meet the needs for you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. Didn't sell yourself, but that was okay.
I am I won't say a veteran, but I've been in this industry
Hmm.
for quite a few years. Um, I took a break. I tried some other ventures, none of which were as satisfying and rewarding.
Hmm.
And um, so I've been in this space now, uh, and I'm a trustworthy source. People who have been in the industry call me. Um, I've signed up many of my family members. If this tell you something, I'm tell you, even my ex-wife, even my ex-wife is my client. And we can't get along. So if she if she trusts me, let me stop cutting that. They're gonna be, oh, see, we can't take them seriously. No, I'm sorry. But if she trusts me, and we can't get along, that lets you know that I do good business. But I take this to heart, um, because I think it just still speaks to it's a love language. It's one last little message that says, I want to take care of you because I love you. So
Hmm.
call me and I can help you put together a plan for your family, and we can go from there.
I just was trying to find a flyer you sent to me to upload it
Mm,
so that we can see it. I don't know where it is.
let me see. I am pretty sure.
I have it. I just sent it to me, but I'll put it in the chat. I wanted to put it on the screen now,
I got
and
you.
probably because I didn't name it, that it didn't.
Let me resend it to you real quick. And I think I did a good job of updating it because so when I started, I was of course state licensed in Georgia,
Mhm.
and then I had added a few states um, to that, but now
Mhm.
I have added several states. So I'm other than a handful of states that my company just doesn't cover currently.
Mhm.
Pretty much everyone else I can take care of. Which is funny. I'm from Wisconsin. It's one of the one of the few places that I don't currently have covered. And I was like, oh, that's funny. But
Mhm.
other than that, most of the people that I talk to, California, Texas, Maryland, of course, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
I can take care of you guys from Michigan to Mississippi. And I wanted to just be able to have that conversation. Yes, there it is right there.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to be able to have that conversation with people no matter where they were from,
Mhm.
and just give them a friendly voice to help them, take care of their family. So yes,
Awesome. Awesome. All right, that's how you can get in touch with him. This is what he offers. I know you sent a couple of them, but this is one I grabbed really quickly
yes, no, that's perfect.
so that we can have that. I'm going to take this opportunity too to share my conference. that is going on that is
Join
happening.
Pastor Cherie Lavon Harris and friends on November 1st at the Delta Hotel in Chesapeake, Virginia for the Dynamic Deliverance Conference with Apostle Michelle Miller of Maryland, Pastor Ray Moncrief of Missouri, Prophet Omar Harris of Pennsylvania, and Pastor Calvin Berry of New Jersey for the outpouring of the Overflow Deliverance Conference at the Delta Hotel in Chesapeake, Virginia. Get registered today. You won't want to miss. Scan the QR code in the top right-hand corner to register.
All right.
Listen, I'm talking about you got it coming from north, south, east, or west. It's gonna be something serious. It's
Yes,
gonna
I
be
feel it. Yeah,
hmm?
I feel it is. I really do. It's going to be a powerful conference.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
yes, he's going to show himself mightily. So, yeah,
Amen.
thank you for sharing this wealth of information with us. It was truly a blessing to have you on, and we look forward to having you again just to share some more things that you have about maybe your juicing. We could talk
Hey, I got you. Let me tell you this one last thing. So one of the
about.
things that started me juicing. So personal testimony. I was on blood pressure medication,
Mhm,
hydrochlorothiazide, and I just didn't like the way it was making me feel and all these things. And the doctors basically told me I was going to have to be on that for basically for the rest of my life.
mhm,
Um, so what I realized is getting off of a lot of the red meat, cutting that out of my diet, and putting more juice, more natural juice, not like the fruit juice and all that stuff, but some natural juice. And then that
mhm,
kind of took me on the journey where I was like, I can make my own juice, which I'm enjoying doing now. It's kind of my little pastime. But
mhm,
I no longer have to take the medication. What I do want to throw in there is they can update your prescription list and your MIB can reflect the change, but it does
mhm.
take some time. So if you do find yourself getting off of those medications, don't worry, it doesn't have to stay on there forever. And if you call, we can talk about that as well. So that's one last little bit of information. If that happens, if you're in that situation, go talk to your doctor, get them to write a letter, say, hey, take all of this stuff off of there. I don't take it, you know, but they'll just keep adding stuff. And we know there's incentives for the doctors, and we won't get into all that. But
Mhm.
you're gonna have to get your incentives from somebody else. I need my stuff to be reflect. It's about like a credit report, right? So I
Right.
just need you to clean that up and just have it up to date on what it should be. So my prescription has been updated, and I'm just doing all natural, and my pressure has never been better. So that's a
Awesome.
testimony as well. So
Awesome.
let's we'll close on that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Any closing remarks that you may have
I
that
think
you
that
want
was
to
it. I did too much talking
us?
already.
All right, go to your juicing.
Thank you so
Thank,
much
thank
for
you
having
again for sharing. You're welcome. Welcome. Welcome back because you were here
me.
a
Yes,
few years
indeed.
ago. So
Yes, indeed.
welcome back. Yeah.
It's
Next.
truly an honor, and this is my space. I think this is just where God has graced me to be able to serve, and I do take that to heart. Um, to me, this is a area where people already feel kind of tense and taboo.
Mhm.
They don't want someone that feels creepy and it just makes them feel even more uncomfortable. This is a vulnerable place, and when you're dealing with this, you want to be tactful and you want to make people feel safe. And so God has graced me with that ability, and I plan to continue to use that for as long as I can. So
Awesome.
God
Awesome.
bless you so
Thank
much.
you. You're welcome and happy belated birthday. You were actually supposed to be on your birthday, but
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
it
that's
was
true.
all
That's true.
well.
Um,
Yeah,
it worked out. Everything in the right time.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Remember, it's okay not to be okay, just as long as you don't stay in that place. We hope that you have a wonderful week, that you are enjoying, as of 6 p.m. tonight, enjoying Yom Kippur as we go into Tishri. So we will not be um, on air next week. So thank you for watching us. You can go back and watch the replays. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. We really thank you for your support.
Click the link.
Yes, subscribe and watch the next video that will show up after this. Thank you all for joining us. Have a great evening. Stay in the back.